Hello, Western Civ 104. Welcome to week 13. I'm coming to you with an announcement late in the week. I am busy getting ready for a move. So I'm a little distracted. I apologize, a little bit behind on the grading. Came back from Hong Kong September 5th last year, and I moved into my friend's place, and here I've originally was going to go plan to go travel more, but COVID happened, and so I realized that's not going to be happening for a while, and I'm getting my own spot. But as you all know, moving, believe it or not, I've actually boxed many things. I can pack a lot into a little space. I'm very good at this. And also I work at a consignment shop as my other job, which means that I also buy a lot of antique things all the time. So just bear with me on like I said, my work, and but so far I'm not too far behind on the grading. Please check your grades right now. I want to quickly say this, that first of all, when you look in your grade book, and I'll repeat this again later on, Canvas keeps all of my old assignments from my other classes, even if I don't use those assignments in my new classes. I don't know why. I've never been able to figure out how to get this taken care of. So the only thing you need to worry about are assignments that were from the modules of each week. So if you see assignments you like I said, we never did that, or no, you didn't do that, don't worry about it, okay? But a lot of times if we agree to getting late work done, and if I say I approve of you turning in late work and I'm going to grade it, most of the time Canvas will tell me that new work came in and I can replace your 0 with an actual grade. But unfortunately, sometimes Canvas is not doing that, which means that if I don't proactively go look through your grade book and check, I'm not going to see that you actually turned in the late work that we agreed that you were allowed to turn in. So if you see that happened, please contact me and I will try to fix that as soon as possible. And then I just want to mention, I just thought I'd contribute a little bit to this week's discussion as we talked about colonialism and how to think about that legacy on the West. And I just thought I would just read. I have some kids' book. By the way, I think sometimes it's really eye-opening to look at movies or TV shows, commercials. You can do this on YouTube for now, before they censor everything. I don't know what they're doing. Anyways. But you can see how these topics are presented and how different they are presented now. And I would say that it's quite problematic as we go back. Well, let me give you an example. This is a kid's book. Now, this is from the 19th century, or should I say specifically 1892. It's an old kid's book. Written in, published in New York and Chicago, Educational Publishing Company. It's a kid's book, Peoples and Places Here and There, Volume 2 on India. And this is the kind of language, or some of the expressions. Well, I'm just going to read what this text says. This was something you would read to kids. Referring to people in India being dominated by another group, it says, "Then the wild natives began to look upon their conquerors with respect and reverence, and gradually the Tartar civilization was brought into India, and the natives gradually changed from the wild animals that they had been into something which, though still a very low type of the human race, was nevertheless a step upward and onward. They began now to have a shadowy sense of home and family, and of respect for each other's rights to life and property." So, we keep going. But then this even says, "But it was very, very crude. So crude that to us today it would seem but simple barbarism, even to this improved condition of theirs." Okay, so this is what I want to remind you. Children, so this would have been my great-grandparents getting educated about other people in the world with this kind of thinking about them. Okay, in this case, from India. Now, this book, which I discovered at the consignment shop, and I got it. It's called The Matchlock Gun by Walter D. Edmonds. And it says, awarded the Newbery Medal as one of the most distinguished contributions to American literature for children. Now, again, this is about a gun. Okay, so first of all, we already know we're in a different time zone, right? Because there ain't going to be no kids' books now celebrating the idea of a kid holding a gun. Now, this was not the 19th century when this was written. This is actually comes from elementary school originally. It says the stamp in here in Washington, but it was first published in 1941. Then it was renewed in 1969. Now, I was born in 1973. Just put that perspective there. And then it's also published again in 1989. Perhaps even later than that. But with this book, it's showing that as late as 1989, this is republished. So that's when this probably was from. Okay. So what you really have is it's supposed to be a real true story about Dutch settlers, colonial settlers in America that are colonizing part of the East Coast. And again, it's supposed to be based on a true story. And they're fighting Native Americans, Indians, as they're referred to in here. And there's pictures. They depict the basically Native Americans as these evil animals that are out looting and threatening the colonial settlers, keeping in mind they're the natives of the population, people here. And so that kind of stuff happened, but think about how that's being portrayed. And then this young boy, gets to learn about this gun and how to do it. And a girl helps pack it full of all of these like shrapnel and get it ready as they're worried about what's going to happen. And so they set up, actually, as they're supposed to be raiding American Indians, to actually kill them. This is all a kid's book. As we say, it was an award-winning kid's book. And then what ends up happening is he shoots them. Now, so here's the end of the story, and it's called The Militia Returns. Because the militia was gone and they were left by themselves. And so it was just this young person. Sorry, I said boy. I think it might be a girl. But as a young person that kills the Indians. Now, here's what the book says. Tunis, riding in with half a dozen militiamen, found them so. Gertrude, still unconscious. Trudy asleep. And Edward. Okay, it was a little boy. That's right. Edward sitting up with the gun across his knee. So the boy has the gun. The bell mouth pointing at the 3 dead Indian bodies, meaning the Spanish gun. So, on their way in, the men had found the barns burned at the brick house and grandmother Van Alston and her slaves barricaded. Just casually mentioned here, okay? And her slaves barricaded, refusing even then to come out. And in the Creek Valley, they had found another Indian crippled and had killed him. But now, while Tunis picked up Gertrude's, the others just sat there, horses, and stared at Edward and the dead Indians. They sneaked up on us, Mendersey said. Who shot them, Edward? I did, with the Spanish gun, said Edward. You've killed more than all the rest of us put together, he explained, and he picked up the gun and hefted it. But before he could say anything more, plump Trudy woke up suddenly. And then some Dutch expression is mentioned, and they look at Edward. The end. Great American classic. Kid with gun kills 3 American Indians and a house with a woman having slaves, no big deal. That book, popular all the way up in the 20th century. And so here's my whole point. Look at up here, I have a lot of friends that are Native American. They're American Indian. There's the tribes out here, reservations all over the place. And of course, we can go into a whole, the slavery question and that issue, right? We all get that at this point in this class. That's a very recent cultural set of normal things to feed into children. And it explains why we still are having debates and cultural wars about our identity and what we should celebrate or not about in the United States and to a certain extent in Europe. Although in Europe, it's a little bit different because it's more about what they did somewhere else. And for us, it's more about what we have been doing here. Although that's not 100% true on both cases. But I hope you get what I'm saying. And so, I don't know, it's good to really think about all of this. And, I just think about the fact that when I was born, segregation only ended by force, by federal troops coming in a few years before I was born. So this legacy that we're tackling here is something that we have to think about. How did we get Hawaii, by the way? What's the status of Puerto Rico? Puerto Ricans are not talked about as if they were Americans, but are they? What do you think? What about Guam? Just throwing this stuff out there. Food for thought. Have a great week. Let's be in contact if you have any questions. You want to throw your way at me, please do so. And we'll be in touch.